April 13th, 2026, A Meditative Life. A life holding onto the Word. Beloved saints, have you rested into the peace of the Lord today? This is a true story that happened in New York, USA, about 50 years ago. A young maiden married a young lighthouse keeper named Jacob Walker. The place where the two young people set up their newlywed life was an isolated island called Robin's Reef, where only one lighthouse stood alone into the middle of the open sea. The young bride, who arrived on the bleak and isolated island after leaving the glamorous city, did not even unpack her bags for over 1 month, saying she could not possibly live in such a place. She wanted to leave the island immediately, but unable to leave her husband alone, she fought loneliness and somehow settled into island life. However, the couple's simple happiness was brief. Just 3 years after moving to the island, her husband Jacob contracted pneumonia and was hospitalized, and shortly after, he passed away, leaving his young wife behind. Before drawing his last breath, the final will husband Jacob left to his beloved wife was short and desperate. "Honey, please mind the lighthouse." Mrs. Walker, who was still a young widow into her 20s, buried her husband's body on a hill overlooking the lighthouse best. And following her husband's wishes, she began to guard the lighthouse alone. On nights when fierce storms raged or when bone-chilling loneliness rushed into, the urge to leave that barren island must have struck her heart hundreds of times. However, for a long period of 41 years until she turned 70 years old, she never left the island even once and silently lit the lighthouse alone. Whenever her heart weakened and she wanted to give up, her husband's earnest last voice, seeming to be heard from the hill, "Mind the lighthouse," firmly held her steps. Beloved, our lives are just like this. In the middle of the pitch-black sea of the world, we are the lighthouse keepers of souls called to shine the light of the gospel. When the temptations of the world rush into, and the hardships and loneliness of keeping our faith shake us, there are times when we also want to lay everything down and run away to a comfortable world. However, the reason we can keep our place of faith to the end is because the Lord's earnest last request, left for us while shedding blood on the cross, is echoing into our souls. You are the light and salt of the world. Today, let us look back to see if the lighthouse of the soul, illuminating our hearts, is perhaps going out, deeply engraving the noble love and words of the Lord, who gave his life for me into my heart. I earnestly hope you live the life of a holy lighthouse keeper who silently shines the true light and love of Christ into this dark and cold world. Meditation and application. The first meditation is guarding the shaking lighthouse of the soul. When fierce storms of hardship and loneliness rush into my life, I must look back to see if I am firmly guarding my place of faith, or if I am trying to extinguish the lighthouse of my soul and run away in cheap pursuit of the world's comfort. Aren't you living neglecting the place of worship and prayer with the excuse of being busy and exhausted? Today, let us lay down all the worries and fears of the world that shake our hearts before the cross, and offer a prayer of resolution, asking for firm faith to guard the place of the mission entrusted by the Lord to the end in any tribulation. The second meditation is remembering the request to be light and salt. I must look back to see if the Lord's voice requesting, "You are the light and salt of the world," is echoing clearly into my heart. You may look like a great believer inside the church, but aren't you actually living lethargically without the fragrance of Christ into your daily life, such as at home and at work? So that the light of the gospel I cherish may shine brightly into the world, let us live a blessed day extending a warm hand first and practicing love to the wounded and marginalized neighbors around us into the place of life given to me today.